try and test out things, see how it is. That's so choppy. I don't have any drop frames, so look choppy. Maybe it's just choppy on my phone. Let's look at the YouTube. Let's look at the YouTubes. Is that music too loud? Let's bring the music down a little bit. I don't know, it sounds loud on the stream, but I can barely hear it in my headphones. Yeah. And it always fades out when I'm adjusting music audio levels. I always kind of feel like my music should be louder for background issues, just with the background noise. But oh well, I guess we'll try that. Alright. We're going to try to make a couple glasses again. Start our count on the bottom there. How many glasses we have made. We have none right now. No failed ones yet. Pick a color here. Alright, so we're going to start with just some multicolor, like standard. We'll do a couple of these glasses. Then we'll probably switch to a couple swirled cups. Or take two different colors and swirl them together. Just to kind of vary up the glasses and cups I'm making. Get this mic covered up here. Alright, we made some of these last time.
What the bloody hell are you doing here? But enough gloom.
Orange, green, and pink. How's it going, Sleeves? Thanks for stopping in. Orange, green, and pink. I can. We'll make a couple of these, and then I'll make some that are orange, green, and pink. Swirled. Did you... I don't know if I have the audio set up right. Did you hear audio from your intro, or did it just play the video? Just kind of curious. It's kind of doing an audio test, trying to separate my chat off the stream. Nice. Oh God, don't listen to you. You mentioned the colors, you're gonna get them. I gotta put some tools up here. I'm not really wearing the right shirt for this, so nice. Is it working? JD, how's it going? I don't hear intros, but I'm glad you guys are. I gotta set up this voice meter thing so I can hear it too. I don't know how to set that up yet for it. But I'm glad you guys are hearing them. How's it going, JD? Got that. Need a spoon. Spoon. That's the main stuff. Then we got our tools here.
Some days call for a chill mix.
I don't like that one.
Others, you turn up
These
the
are all
beat.
kind of burnt.
No matter what kind of day
You
you're
have one that's not burnt?
unwind with Twizzlers.
I've been doing okay. I've been busy at work.
Twizzlers candy comes in a chewy
Kind of
twist
getting
that's
back on
more
the swing of
than a
things
treat.
here.
It's a reminder to have
I'm
fun.
hoping to blow glass
Sit
more
back and
often.
relax with Twizzlers. Tap the
Working
button
on
to
that.
learn more.
Been looking into IP cameras. Hoping to maybe make a IP camera setup in here for me. But that's going to cost money. And money I don't have right now. So I might end up buying one, seeing if I can get that one camera to work in here as an IP camera setup, and then slowly add more as we go. And try to get it set up so I don't have to keep setting things up. We have Wi-Fi in here now, and it's a lot better Wi-Fi, and I don't have to connect my Ethernet cable to have a good signal. So I actually have a decent signal. It's a fast internet, so I have a lot less cables. And I think if I can set up an IP camera setup, it'd be so cool. But that's all behind the scenes stuff. Boring stuff. So we're gonna make a drinking glass. We're gonna use multicolors for it. It's kind of my standard glass I like to make, just because they look nice and they sell pretty decent. Trying to get enough of them made so I can put some online. We'll get this started here. What? Raiders? What's going on? How's it going? We're gonna start the bubble here. We'll blow this rod, kind of cap with my thumb. Get the bubble started. Here we go. I'm gonna let that cool, and I'm gonna take a look here now. Who raided me? Linchu? Linchu, thanks for the raid. That was one of my favorite games growing up. I was horrible at it, but I love that game. Thanks for the raid. Well, thanks for stopping in. I am Combustible Dan. Partly combustible because of the heat. But let me tilt my camera up a little bit, or I should say my monitor on my laptop. We're gonna gather some glass, but I blow glass on Thursdays. But a lot of times I play retro games and modern games. I speed run retro games is what I do. But the Thursdays is when I do my glass blowing, and I'm trying to get back to it because I used to do it a lot. But we're gonna start making a glass here. Thanks for the raid again. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And thanks for the follow. So I'm gonna gather a little bit more glass on here. This is gonna be kind of a larger glass just because I think I'm gathering a little bit too much. I'm gonna try to let some of it fall off here. I'm gonna use the marber here to push out the glass. And then I'm gonna gather this color on here. So now I got this multicolor on top of this melted glass. I'm gonna heat this up, melt this in, and we're gonna start making making this glass. Thanks for all the follows. I appreciate it. I was just talking about how I like having more cameras, but right now I'm just doing a simple stream, and eventually I'll be back to making more of a multi-camera stream. We're melting this in. Anytime you add glass or color to your glass, to your piece, you always want to melt it in. So hot glass will stick to hot glass. The glass I picked up, that's just little chunks of basically sheet glass that's been broken up that had color in it. And since the glass I'm gathering is hot, it picks up, it's able to heat it up enough to pick that glass up. But if the glass is hot and I try picking up a smaller piece of, or a larger piece of glass that's cold, it might not really pick it up. It might kind of attach to it and then fall off later. So try to keep the glass you're working with hot. If you haven't been in a glass shop before or seen a glass shop before, I have a furnace in here that has a crucible inside, like basically a giant bowl that holds the melted glass that we gather from. So gathering glass from here is like gathering from honey. So we dip in there and we got to keep it turning in order to pick up that glass. Otherwise, if we stop turning, it's going to dip and just fall on the floor. And then this is what we call a glory hole. This is where we reheat it. That's where we keep it hot enough so we can keep working with it. As I see, I got it kind of hard. I'm going to tip it down to kind of stretch it. You can see the glass kind of elongates from gravity. Now we're going to blow a little air in here. That's a nice day. You'll be amazed at the terms that are in glass blowing and how, 18 plus these terms are, I should say. We're going to stretch this a little bit more. I'm going to try and make a jack line on this. Chill the bottom a little bit. The good old glory hole. I'm going to go jack my glass off. Let's start making a jack line. All right, so we're going to heat this up some more. I'm going to blow it in an optic mold, which is basically just a pipe. Yes, Sweep likes to brag. All right, I'll keep this back to kid-friendly now. My stream is 18 plus stream, but I try to keep it somewhat PG. All right, so we're going to heat that up. I'm going to blow it a little bit longer. Yeah, Sweeps was talking about retro games, so I have a couple world records in some retro speed runs. One is that he's talking about is the Contra Pacifist run. So right now I have the world record in the Contra Pacifist, which is not killing any enemies or hitting any objects and only killing the bosses without hitting any of their projectiles. And then I have a world record in Popful Mail for the Sega CD and world records in Operation C for the Game Boy, which is the Contra game for Game Boy. But they're all beatable, so it's a lot of fun. Like I said, they're all breakable. So eventually someone will break them and pass them, but they're fun to have. So I got a metal pipe down here. I'm just going to blow this in there so it kind of evens out. It's one way of keeping the glass kind of uniform. Heat this up, no, flatten the bottom. So you flatten the bottom, try to make sure it's flat. Then we indent it. And we're going to attach a rod to the bottom of this to transfer this pipe or this glass to another pipe so we can break it off and open up the other end here. So I got to keep this kind of warm, so I'm going to flash it in here just to get some heat back into it. I'm going to hang it up here. And then grab another rod here. Gather a little bit of glass. And we're going to make what we call a punty. So I'm going to marver this. I'm going to push out that glass and make a point. And I'm going to use that point to attach to the bottom of the glass here. Try not to get it too cold. But if it gets cold enough, it'll just break off of the glass I made, and this piece could fall on the floor. So this is where we can lose the piece. This is the part where you're more likely to lose your glass that you're making when trying to transfer it to another rod here. It might be a little crooked on this bottom. Tap that off. And now we can heat this up and open the other side. So we're going to have to put a lot of heat to the top of it here. Gotta flash it again, make sure you keep the punty hot. And now we're just going to heat that mouth of that glass so we can open it up and get a lot of heat on top of it. And then we can start opening it up and finish off the glass here. Now this glory hole here is running about 100 degrees hotter than that furnace that we gathered. So this is about 2200 degrees. Toss a coin to your Twitcher? Oh, I love that name. That's awesome. Thanks for the raid. How's it going? Well, we're almost done with this piece, so gotta put a little more heat in here. Now we're gonna use the jacks here to start to open this. I'm just gonna kind of start opening the mouth of the glass, kind of thin it out, and then we're gonna heat it up some more and open it some more. I'm not really wearing the right shirt for this because you want to wear all natural cotton, like natural fibers. This is a synthetic blend, so it's going to make me hotter. It's going to make me stink. It's going to make me hotter. So you're really... I got chat is going into my ears. This is the first stream I set up voice meter, so I hear chat, but you guys don't, because I don't like it when you know, the speech to chat thing goes over the stream. I like to keep that separate from the stream. So I'm kind of testing this out to see if it's working. I'm very glad it is. As funny as speech to text, text to speech is. Nice. I'm gonna have to check them out. So we're gonna open this up now. We had it hot enough we can get this open. And that pretty much finishes off the glass here. So the glass itself right now is still about 1,000 degrees or 900 degrees. Probably about 1,000. So now we're gonna heat this up. No, take your time. I understand. Here is the glass. So this is a multicolor glass. The color is starting to come back into it. It's hard to see kind of what the colors are because of when a glass is hot, basically all colors are a different shade of orange when it's hot. So sometimes you won't be able to see what the color is until it cools down. All right, I need grabbers. some grabbers. So now I gotta put this away. So this is still about 1,000 degrees, and I gotta figure out what annealer that's on. Vicky, which annealer am I going into? 2. Okay, thank you. Yeah, you're not embarrassing yourself. It's now you're gonna make me think for a second here, as I haven't thought about this for a while. So, glass is made from different materials mixed together. Sand is one of them. I'm drawing a blank on everything else that's supposed to be in glass. Ash, soda ash, limestone. That's all kind of in there. And but we don't mix our own. Some glass studios will mix their own glass, so they'll mix their own components and make their own version of it. We buy and cull it, so it's pre-made glass set to a certain coefficient, and the coefficient tells us how compatible it is with some of the colors we buy and things like that. So our coefficient, I believe this glass is 96, or we used to use 96. We switched to a new glass. I think it's still 96 or it's 104, and I can't remember. But that's soda glass. Soda glass is soft glass, and the color we use is kind of matching it. No, I don't do this for a living. I do it for fun. It's a hobby. I did it for a while to help out my father-in-law. My father-in-law made this glass studio, basically. He did it all his whole life. He kind of finally passed it on to his students, his next glass blowers. So, and I'm lucky enough that I can still come here and blow glass. But I kind of helped him for a little while after I married into it. He wouldn't let me marry into the family and be around the stuff without forcing me or teaching me how to do it. So he didn't force me. He said, "Oh, come on, I'm just going to teach you how." But yeah, so I still work out of here. I do something else for a living, but I try to come here on Thursdays to keep doing it and have fun, and still in the way my father-in-law shared glass all the time. My streams on Thursday are in that same vein of trying to share the glass with the people out there and kind of share the shop that's here that he built up, because I really believe in this place, and I feel like it needs more people to know. He forged me into it. Nice. He did it for a living, but I mean, he had a full-time job, but he would go home and blow glass in his garage. He built a glass studio in his garage, and eventually it became big enough that he had to get his own studio outside of his garage. So he bought, he didn't buy, he rented a place in what's called the Old Market of Omaha. And eventually then he found 3 other artists who had this idea of starting a glass a art studio. So they got together, they made the Hot Shops Art Center in Omaha, and where they had a pottery studio, a glassblowing studio, a blacksmithing studio, and a bronze pour studio. And then they built up the other 3 floors to make into rentable space, affordable rentable space, I should say, to other artists who wanted to come and be part of this community and help share art and things like that. So the Hot Shops Art Center is in Omaha. It still exists. It still goes on. But like I said, I come in and try to help share the glass studio to keep it going. My father-in-law just kind of now gets to hang out with the grandkids and all that stuff. And I still try to help share the glass. And, it's like I said, the place in my mind is his. So I keep wanting to share it. And it feels like I'm sharing his experience and his journey that he went through, because it's just this, 40 years of trying to learn how to glass blow is a big, and he started in a time when glass shops wouldn't teach you how to blow glass. So that's why he started his own shop, because a lot of studios wouldn't teach you how to blow glass because it was a hidden, tried secret. And so, like a long time ago, if you wanted to be a glass blower, you had to sometimes even sleep in the glass shop and clean it and all this stuff and be around it before they would even let you touch it. So it became more available around his time. It started to become more available around his time, I believe. So when he made his studio, he opened it up to everyone. He didn't care. So, all right. The apprenticing life, it's true. I gotta change my number. Let's add that 1 for 1 finished. I try to keep count now, just more so people know how many I failed than how many I made. Yeah. Let's see who's out here. Thanks for stopping in. I don't know. It's however many I can. I started about an hour earlier than I usually do, so I don't know how many I'm going to make. Oh, Blown Away on Netflix is great. I love it. My kids love it too, so they love watching it. And so it's a lot of fun. Originally, a long time ago, I had an idea of making a reality show here, but some of the stuff we did here behind the scenes would have been great shows, would have been great TV, but not something you really want to show on TV. I think sometimes. but they did the reality show Blown Away, and that was probably a much better idea. Yeah. A late night, hanging out in the shop, drinking beers, and just having fun and chatting. Sometimes things happen. We're going to heat up the rod so we can gather some more glass. All right. Make sure the rod is clear. Gather a little bit of glass on here. Yeah, I don't know how many I'm trying to make. I just want to make some, and I want to keep track of how many I make and lose. Because I think it's kind of fun to keep track of it. But usually I say I can make about 4 glasses an hour, and I'll lose 1 of them. So, 3 successful, 1 probably lost. I usually lose about 1 out of 4. So I kind of like to keep track, and maybe at the end of the stream I'll do a percentage of success and failure. So blow a little air in the rod. I cap it with my thumb. The moisture in my lungs that I trapped in there will turn to steam and expand and blow out this bubble and make the bubble on its own. I tell people that trying to blow a bubble in glass is like trying to blow an animal balloon. It's really hard to get it started, but once you get it started, it flows a lot easier. So the initial pressure, or what do you call it? I think pressure or whatever. To get through that surface pressure. To get through that, it's a lot harder to start. But once you get started, it's a lot easier. Then we kind of tip it down and let it cool so you can kind of center it. We keep the rod turning the center of the glass. Cold glass bonding? I don't think I looked into cold glass bonding, no. I actually don't know anything about that. Unless it's super glue. Then I know about super glue. No, I also work with sheet glass, and I try to make 8-bit marinis, as they call it. So basically, like characters from 8-bit games. I'll stack sheet glass to make the image, and then tack it fused with heat, and then pull it down like taffy and make cane of these characters, and then cut it up into slices and polish them. And I really like making those, which I want to get back to making them, but I have a lot of fun with that. They're just really hard because you have to do a lot of grinding and stuff to make the small pieces. So I do a little bit of that, and then I like to work on a torch as well to make flower arrangements out of torch. Epoxy and stuff, yeah. You can try to find ways of reusing or recycling glass if you fail. Um, Clear glass can be thrown back in and melted down and reused. Yeah, like you said, the color glass, not so much, but sometimes if you use a lot of color in a piece and it breaks, sometimes you can chop it up into smaller pieces and re-pick up those pieces and then make something out of, you can reuse your color by just picking it up. So you can try to find different ways of reusing, but a lot of times you don't really recycle every piece. And there's other things too, like we put the rods in here, and as they cool down, the glass that's on there will chill and pop off the rod. Because like I mentioned, the hot glass sticks to hot things. So if the rod is cold, the glass will start popping off and falling off. And we have a stack of just pieces of glass in those barrels, and you can find like nice looking pieces and put them into a annealer, turn the annealer on, and slump them down into little like melted pools. And you can make jewelry out of that or something, or use them as a backsplash in your kitchen, different things like that. So there could be ways of doing it. It's a lot more work than just, throwing it out and making a new piece. But like I said, if you put a lot of color into something, if you're using color rods, which are really expensive, you don't really want to just throw it away. So sometimes you'll try to find a way of recycling some of those more expensive colored pieces. Starting off, what my father-in-law would do was he would go to the grocery stores or whatever and go dumpster diving for like Heineken glasses or things like that. And Heineken was his favorite glass to use. And some of that glass was compatible with the glass he had in his shop. So he'd break up some of these blue bottles or Heineken bottles and mix them in with his glass to have that as color, or just completely use that, melt it down, and just make things out of it to make a green or blue glass. So you could recycle glass, but it has to be the same glass, because all glasses has different compatibility or different makeups. So if you're going to make something or recycle something, you have to make sure it's compatible with the glass you're using, or it has to be completely only that glass when you're working, so it's compatible. But we would cut the tops off like blue wine bottles to make glasses. That's the way of recycling. Then a lot of people kind of have been doing that for a while, but now people cold grind them and things like that, which I'm not a big fan of. They look good, but I'm not a big fan of like the cold grinding method of making drinking glasses out of wine bottles. Look. We kind of like to heat treat them, melt them down so that they're smooth and clear, or like match. I like doing it that way more. It takes a lot more time though, I think. Well, actually I don't know, because they do a lot of grinding on them, so on the cold work. But all right, we're gonna heat this up. We're gonna transfer this one. Try to make a second glass here. Gather a little bit. Marver this to a tip. And we'll attach this to the bottom of the glass. Yeah, the intense part. Attach this to the bottom. We've lost a lot of pieces this way. Or as the saying goes, them's the brakes. If you lose it. Okay, put that in there. Try to heat treat the top again. So one of the things about glass blowing is you have to be able to have like a calm demeanor. I think you can have a lot of fun and things, but you have to be able to take the bad with the good and treat it as a learning experience. So you can't really get mad about losing a piece. You just have to kind of go with the flow. You lose one, you just go on to the next one. I think it's a good, calm, relaxing experience. It can be frustrating when things go wrong, but I always say the one that you're going to lose is your best piece. It's always the best piece that falls on the floor and breaks. So treat all your pieces like they're not your best. Well, the color glass is on the marble there, and I roll the glass in it. So when I gather the clear glass out of the furnace, I'll roll it in the color, and that will pick up the color onto the glass I'm working with. So yeah, I don't touch it with my hands or anything, or pick it up and put it on the glass. I just roll the melted glass on top of it, and that'll pick up the color on its own. And it only picks up a certain amount, because the rest of the glass kind of cools down, and then it won't pick up anymore. If your glass is too cold, it won't pick up very much. If you want to have more color on, you're going to have to heat it up, get it hotter to put more color on top of the color that you already grabbed or rolled onto the clear. Yeah, you might have just missed it. It's usually after my second gather, I'll roll it in the color, because the best time to pick up the most color is after you gather the clear or add more glass onto your glass, because that's when it's going to be the hottest, or mostly the hottest. Sometimes you can heat it up really hot. And right now, I think the furnace is a little colder than usual, so it's not as hot as usual, but it's still pretty hot to pick up color and all that kind of stuff. Keep it shaped here. Spent a little more time on this one just because the shoulder was kind of popping out. So I'm trying to keep the sides of it from spinning out. So the colors on it, the different colors will heat and cool at a different rate. So when you're working with a piece, some of the blues or something will absorb heat faster. So they'll start thinning out quicker than the rest of your glass. So a lot of times when you're teaching students or having students come in, first thing they want is like a blue glass. Like, I want a blue glass. It's like, well, that's great and all, but that's going to make making the glass a lot harder, because it's going to absorb the heat quicker and stretch quicker. And especially if you put like blue around the side of it, that side will thin out quicker than the rest of the glass because it just absorbs the heat. And similar with white will reflect the heat, which takes a lot more to heat up and is harder to work with. So it takes a lot more heat to get it hot enough to do stuff with it. Because the different colors, just like when you wear clothes outside, the different color clothes reflects different to the sun. Black will heat up quicker and may warm you up. White will reflect, and you won't get as hot as quick. The same thing with glass colors. So you gotta kind of pay attention to your color and how it's absorbing and how hot the clear is compared to the colors on it. Speckled like this, it's not that big of a deal. But where the color is, I might start getting a little bulge in the shoulder, so I have to kind of even that out a little bit sometimes. And I'm just going to chill with this spoon, what we call a spoon, right where the rod, the punty, attaches to the bottom of this glass. And that chills it, makes a weak point, kind of an imperfection in the glass per se. And that way, when I tap it, it'll pop off where that imperfection or that weak point is. And hopefully you get a clean cut right off. And now where it popped off, it's kind of sharp. So I'm going to heat treat the bottom just to melt down that sharpness. and then we'll put it away. Oh, Chico, how's it going? So we got to put this in the annealer. Put that away. And now we have two glasses. I still have to make a count laugh. So every time I change this number, it just the count changes. Oh, I'm good. Now we got two that made it. All right. Okay. So when we make a glass, it's about 1,000 degrees or so, and the glass will cool at a different rate. So, and the colors will cool at a different rate too, or thicknesses will cool at a different rate. So you always have to be aware how thick your glass is, things like that. But we put them in an annealer because that annealer is about 950 degrees, and it evens out the temperature of your glass. And then at the end of the day, I will turn the annealer off to go through a cooling cycle, as we call it, and it'll take about an 8-hour period of time to slowly take the heat out of the glass and bring it down to room temperature evenly, so that when you take it out of there, it's shelf stable. There's no tension in the glass, and it won't pop on you. The glass I work with is soft glass, so it's not made for boiling water, tea, coffee, things like that. So you can't really put boiling water in. It's only really for cold liquids or lukewarm liquid or whatever. But you don't want to put boiling water in there because it'll shatter the glass. Which, my father-in-law tells a story that there was someone he knew that had a glass for I don't know how long. And one day she came in and says, well, I love your glass because I love drinking tea out of it. He says, not hot tea, do you? She says, oh, yeah, every morning I have hot tea. And he's like, don't do that. You're not supposed to be using hot tea because that's going to break the glass. He says, I've been doing it for 20 years. It doesn't matter. So the next day she's at home and she poured herself a hot tea and the glass broke. And she came back and was like, you messed it up. You jinxed it. Got all mad at him. All right, so we're going to put this into a line again here. So we picked up some of this color, so we're just going to line it up. Get rid of some of the spots that got thin just from picking it up. Usually I kind of like to try to make about 4 glasses before I take a break, but we'll see. Cheers, non-glass. Yeah. Cheers. Oh. So we got 2. 2 out of 4 so far. Oh. We heat up the rod here. Get it nice and hot so we can gather on it again. So I'm going to gather, I'll blow the bubble, we'll let the bubble cool so that I can gather more glass on it. Because you got to let the bubble cool a little bit to support more glass. Otherwise, if you blow the bubble and go back in there, you just basically melt it back down and into the furnace again and lose your bubble. So you let it cool a little bit so it just has some kind of solidity to it so you can support gathering more glass on it. We'll gather a little bit. Come over here and just marver it out. So we push the glass out to the front of the rod. Any glass that's in front of the rod will be used. Anything basically on the rod is lost. So you really want more of the glass in front of your rod and not too much on it. Blow a little air in here. Tap it with our thumb. We'll let that bubble expand. And there we go. Now I'm going to hang it down and let it cool. So the glass that's on the rod is about 3/4 of an inch to an inch just on the rod up. So you don't want a whole lot in there. That's what's called the moil. So when I gather, I'm trying to gather up to the top of the moil there so I don't get kind of this weird line of gather on the glass that I'm working with. So let it cool a little bit, gather. So now that I gather on this, I'm going to come straight over here and put the color on it. So you'll see me apply the color on this next gather. It should be cool enough. And now, as you can see, it's pretty solid now. You hear a tink tink. But it's still really hot. So I come over here and I just kind of shape it a little bit to even out the sides. And then I'm going to put it in the color here. So I kind of make it into a wedge shape. And now we put that color onto the wedge part. And that's going to pick up that multicolor. And now we melt that in. And once we melt the color in, the color's in the glass. It all becomes one. Now we have some wooden blocks over here that we use to shape it. So this is just basically like apple wood, some kind of fruit wood that we use to shape it. So the wooden blocks stay in the water and they stay damp and wet. They've been burned, so they have a lot of carbon on top of them. So when we roll this in the blocks, the glass is basically riding on a bed of steam on the carbon, so it doesn't really burn the whole thing away that much if it's done right. These blocks have been burnt pretty well, so I'm not sure if they've just been used a lot or if they've been people have been using them while they kind of dry out too much and not dipping them in the water enough. But yeah, there's a big chunks of those burnt away. And then after we heat it up, we're going to let these stretch. So I try to let the mouth of the glass by the rod stretch and thin out. So that's why I hang it down to kind of stretch that glass. And that thins it. Elongates it, makes it longer. So we kind of give it a blow. And now we'll heat this up and put it in the optic mold. The optic mold is just a pipe. And we'll blow it in the pipe to kind of shape it, keep it the same size as the other glasses that we made already. And I like blowing it in the pipe because what it does is it chills the side. It kind of gives it this chilled, watery optic to it. You don't see it very much in the glass now, but you really see it when it's done. And I kind of like that extra chill to it. If I want it to be like crystal clear, then you wouldn't really blow it in the mold like that, or you get it hot enough that you can melt out a lot of that chill that was on there. Glass is a very unforgiving material because it's kind of like, they say glass is like life. You bump it, mar it, do something wrong to it, it's going to always have that mark or that indent on it. And you might be able to heat it, heal it, get rid of it somewhat, but there's always going to be an imperfection where that mark or dent was. There's always some kind of little lasting effect from that imperfection. And sometimes that's just what makes the glass interesting, is its imperfections. A lot of times you'll make glass and it's it is kind of deep. It's a lot of times it's the mistakes that people find the most interesting, because you could make a bunch of glass. I could make 20 glasses and then make it a failed one where something's just not right and set it aside, and someone will walk into the shop, see the one that's off on the side and say, I like that one. And you're like, no, that's the mistake. You're like, yeah, that's the one that's interesting. And you're like, oh, all right, well, it's for sale now. So you never know. Let me heat this up and hang it up. We're going to get that punty attached to the bottom. Yeah. I like telling the story about when I was trying to learn how to make mugs. It's kind of really hard to put a handle on a mug, and to keep it straight and all that, make it look nice. And if you want. And I made a mug, I was doing a couple, and one of the mugs, the handle went crooked. Uh-oh. Just like my punty here. Punty, this one might fail. Punty got too cold. We're going to put some heat back into this and try again. Um, but I was making mugs, and one of them, the mug handle went crooked. I tried picking it up, tried to hold on to it. I said, "This is very awkward. This is just horrible. I'm gonna set it aside. I'm not gonna sell this one." But they had just come out of the kneeler, so they're all sitting there on the desk. And one of my friends walks in, he looks at it. He's looking at the mugs. He's like, "Hey, these are nice mugs." And he picks up the one that is wrong, that's off kilter and all that stuff. The mug handle was. And he looks at it, he picks it up. He says, "Man, I love this mug." I'm like, "What do you mean?" He says, "This is the best left-hander mug I've ever held." He's like, "Well," I said, "It's yours. It's the worst right-handed mug I ever held." So it's all in perspective. Attach this to the bottom now. This should hold on better, but this might mean things could have more errors as the glass is a little colder. So as we go back to the heat here, it could pop or break or crack. You never know. So I got a bigger punty on this one, so it might be harder to break this one off the rod too. So we'll see. We'll see how much error there is. I know. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's all like life. It's all the imperfections that make you you. So it's kind of those imperfections that people find or like in glass or art. So it attracts them to it. Yep, I was originally born and raised in Wisconsin. I now live I live in Iowa, but I'm working out in Omaha, Nebraska right now. But I live right on the border there. Yep. Exactly. See? Yeah. Heat this up. Open up the rest of the way. 30 minutes. I grew up near Green Bay. It's more apparent when you say bag. Or if I say I'm going to go to the bubbler, I need to get money from the time machine. Open this up. There we go. I think this is about pretty good. I'm not going to try to open it up anymore, things like that. Just because I don't want to mess with it too much. Start messing with something to try and make it perfect. That's usually when things go wrong. So we'll show this one off. Just to show one off. Hard to see hanging in front of there, so they have some nice reflection of the glory hole. But yeah. There we go. Clay corn, how's it going? So I went out to LA for a while. I was trying to be an actor and stunt person out in LA for a while. And I was just going for a walk and I started talking to someone. And they're like, "Oh man, you got an accent. Are you from Canada?" Like, Canada? No, I'm from Wisconsin. It's like, oh, okay. Where in Canada is that? Like, not what? It's like, what do you mean? There we go. All right, that's 3. All right, we'll change the number. Number 3. Yeah, I need to make a hotkey button. I can just press a button for success or failure here. It is. It's like I don't blame them, but you know, I specifically told them I'm not from Canada, from Wisconsin. Sorry. Oh, Yadere. Oh, gotta get some cheddar cheese. You got any kraut for the sausage? We're going to a bouillon. They got good bouillon soup there. Chicken bouillon. It's good. Good for you. Salt fixes anything. It's like Windex. Squeeze right out there. Friday fish fry. Yeah. I was sad to say I wasn't a big fish person, but yeah, fish fries are great. We heat this up. Try and make our 4th one. Hopefully this 4th one makes it. Like I said, 1 out of 4. It's usually a failure. Yeah. Tuna and salmon's good. Yeah, you just gotta find the right fish fry, you know? Those bad fish fries, they really do you in. They kind of spoil it for all the other fish fries out there. All right, gather a little bit. Carve this out. So after this one, whether it's a success or failure, we'll put this color away. We'll get a drink of water instead of drinking Dr. Pepper like I'm drinking, which is not good for me while I'm working. We'll get some more colors and we're gonna do like mixing 2 colors together to make a swirled glass. Yeah. All right, we'll cool this down. We'll gather on this. Do. I have burned myself before, yeah. The worst burn I got was on a torch. I was working on a torch and I put my thumb through the torch by accident. That was fun. And then I still had to make the piece because I was in a class. Of course, you're embarrassed about it because you're in a class with a teacher that's like well known or whatever, and then you put your thumb through a torch and you got this big giant burn on your torch. And you're working on a giant, like I'm working on a giant marble, like basic paperweight like piece, and I can't let it go. I can't stop because it'll break. And I spent 3 or 4 days working on this piece, then putting those pieces together. And I put my thumb through the torch, and I can't use it, so you can't really turn the rod. I can't stop. So I had to keep going. You know, and I think thankfully someone took the piece, you know, to keep it warm for me while I bandaged up or something. But you know, I had my thumb was completely white from the burn. It was bad. Well, it wasn't like bad. Like luckily it was like just a surface burn, but still pretty bad on that surface. But it didn't go deep, so it wasn't horrible, but it did hurt. That was the worst burn I got. But you actually cut yourself a lot more than you burn yourself. You know, because if you don't torch the piece when you break it off and put it away, a lot of times you come in and you'll pick up the piece and say, "Oh, I like this piece. It looks good," and for some reason your instinct is to pick up the piece and look at it, and then touch and feel how sharp the bottom is where you broke it off, to see if you have to like how much you have to get rid of before you sell it. Like how much do I have to get rid of the sharp point before I sell it? And you cut yourself once in a while, or you cut yourself because you got glass that's on the floor and you're picking something up, or you just do stupid things like, oh, I got glass in my shoe, let me just pick that out, and you cut yourself on it. It's just, or you don't working with glass, you're working with little pieces there, and one's kind of sharp, and you just kind of should cut yourself a little bit. So you end up cutting yourself more than you burn yourself. Last week when I was doing this, I had to fill the furnace up with glass. And we get bags of cullet. So it's just bags full of like what looks like, ice cubes. They look like ice cubes, but they break, you know, because they're in a bag and they chip around. They chip and break and stuff like that. So you occasionally have some glass poking out of the bag that's pretty sharp. So when you lift it up, it's a 50-pound bag of glass. You got to really heft it up. But while hefting it up, I put my hand on a sharp point and kind of just a small little cut, you know. Nothing big, but the glass cuts bleed like crazy. You can have the smallest cut that just doesn't hurt, doesn't mean anything, but it'll just keep bleeding because it's so sharp and clean, or such a sharp cut. But so you start to get aware of that. Be like, all right, well, just don't do these stupid things, and you'll be fine. Yeah, sometimes there is mystery blood where you're just like, where am I bleeding? How did I cut myself? Is this my blood? Blow it in here. And now we'll shape it some more. Happy accident? I don't know. If you see blood, it's not a happy accident. Indent the bottom. Okay. Heat this up and we'll get the punty. How's the audio on the stream? Do you hear music? Is music too loud, too quiet? Does the music suck? Would you rather not have music? Inquiring Dans want to know. It's good. I try to keep it synthwave-ish, kind of music, like game-like, but, you know, because I do game stuff too, so it's try to make the glass stream somewhat game-related sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes, you know, you try to just get past what happens. You kind of learn to move on from getting injured if it's not life-threatening or horrible, but, you know, everyone reacts differently. My kids react differently to it. So, you know, when they get hurt, sometimes it's a long cry. But try to teach them that, you know, you take it as it goes, and you got to not look at the pain as a stopping point. You just got to assess your condition and where you are and how bad it is. You don't want them to freak out about it. You want them to assess the situation, be reasonable. It's hard to teach a kid that. I heat this top, melt it in. Try to open it. Start to open it. We'll heat up the rest here and open the rest of the way. After this glass, I said we're going to switch colors. I'll get some water. I'm going to grab some pieces I made before. I got some glasses I made last time. I'll show you what they look like. I got my 8-bit Marini things with my Mega Man. I'll show you that, kind of tell you how that's made. I'm working on a link right now, but he's halfway done, and I kind of stopped. I haven't worked on them for over a year, so I gotta get that shop set back up to kind of rearrange stuff at home so it's all messed up. But chill the sides, keep it even. Try to open it up the rest of the way. Flare out the lip a little bit here. Just thin out the lip. Sometimes the lip's a little thicker than you want, so you can flare it open and kind of thin it out. I don't like to flare out the lips too much here. I like to keep a glass a little bit straighter with a slight flare to the top, but I don't like opening it up too much. So again, there's the glasses. See the colors starting to come back. Some of it's still orangish, so you can't quite see the full colors. We'll get a glass and show you the glass that's finished. Like I said, all the colors when you're working with them are basically just different shades of orange because every color when they get hot. Sorry about the ads on Spotify. I hate it. I don't pay for a subscription because it never worked correctly.
Visit us in store or online.
Yeah, so all the colors are different. Orange color when they're hot. Everything's orange when it's hot. So you don't always know what your glass is going to look like until you're done. All right. A little bit of heat on the bottom. It broke off pretty good, so that's good. Heat treat it so I don't have to cold work it later. So we torch that bottom to get rid of any of that sharpness that when it breaks off from the punty. Otherwise, we'd have to cold work it, either chip it with a chisel and grind it down with that chisel if there's not that much there, or take it to the back and cold work it and grind. Yeah, if I pay for a subscription or whatever, I can probably get. Yeah, perfect round 4. Made it. Since I got this, what do you call it? Audio stuff kind of working, I might actually pay for a subscription to something that's royalty free, but you never know. The thing that bothers me is it says royalty free, and then you put it, then it's on YouTube, it gets hit for copyright infringement because you used my music, so now I get credit for it on that. It's like, but yeah, it's royalty free, but we take all your money off YouTube's. All right, so I'm going to get some water. I'm going to grab some pieces to show you the pieces I made. I don't make money off YouTube's, so that doesn't matter. Joke's on you. Yeah. I'll show you, YouTube. All right, I'm gonna go get this one piece and a paperweight. These are things I want to get back to. This is a simple one. I haven't done this in so long, so I'm really out of practice. Hey, how's it going? I am blowing right now.
Are you like streaming right
Yeah.
now?
Do you want me to mute myself for a second? I will be right back. Hopefully I actually know how to mute myself here. There we go. I don't know. Maybe you heard everything. I have no idea. It's a public studio space, so people are coming in and out, customers coming in and out. So every once in a while, we just, to keep people's privacy, we do that. So you heard nothing. Tra-la-la. All right, show time. Let's get the OBS open so I can see things. And I need water. Somebody. First rule of Glassblowing Club. There we go. So Combustible Dan's drinking water from one of his own very made handmade glasses. Pinkies up, it's fancy. Yeah, so this is basically it. It's just got multicolor around it. Very simple, no swirls, not too much color. I like things with a lot of clear and stuff on it. Here's another one. I could maybe use a little bit more color on them. It's just not picking up a lot, but it's just a little bit. So those are the glasses I was making right now as well. Here's a small paperweight I made. So it's got, I made these little flowers on a torch, and then I made the setup on the torch and put it in a little casement. And then, you encase it in the clear to trap the glass that you made as quick as possible without melting it into the paperweight. So this is what I want to get back to, is making some things like this. Like I said, I'm really out of practice. I haven't done that in like 5 years. I don't know. This is my Mega Man. This is a sheet glass, so it goes all the way through. I'm thinking of donating one of these to Games Done Quick or whatever, so they can donate away. But I don't know if anyone really realizes how much work goes into this thing. So this is basically stacked sheet glass. And I stacked the sheet glass in basically a metal square that's about 6 inches by 6 inches. And I stacked the sheet glass to make Mega Man surrounded by clear sheet glass. And then I fuse that in the kiln and tack it together basically. And then we take it up here, we encase it in the clear, and then pull it down, heat it up, and then pull it down to about twice its length. And then we cut it in half when it cools, and then we pull it down again about twice its length. and then after it cools, we cut it again and maybe pull it another time. So this was a slice from, I think, the first pull, and I wanted some bigger slices because I really like the large size. And then I have smaller ones that are more of like a coin size type, and those are fun too. But I don't know how long it took me to make those.
Looking for these.
Yeah, those are perfect. Thank
I
you.
was looking for that little one. Like, I don't know where it went.
Oh, it's in there with the paperweights. Yeah, I keep it in there.
Yeah, it's on that center round glass piece.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. It's back there. So this is one of the pulls. Like there's Mega Man. You kind of see him in there. So you have to slice this into pieces. So I sent a chunk of this off to someone else who does a lot of Marini slicing and working to grind and polish it for me because I had enough of it. And so there's still a lot, like maybe another 10 slices in here, or I could heat this up, pull it down, and maybe get 30 slices out of it or something like that. I don't know, but like I said, I don't like cutting and slicing because we don't have the right tools to cut it. Here's a one up. This one didn't turn out as good because you can see on the bottom how it kind of has a slight indent to it from when you're trying to encase it, heat it, and shape it into a square. It can sometimes misshape the shape. So this is a one up. I got some smaller slices of that, and this one I really like. This one. Here's the Castlevania Holy Water. I really love those too, as well. And so I just got to slice them, and I just want to set them off and slice them. I got to make more of them. But so some of I just really like the way they look. And I work with sheet glass to get that it's hard to say, but when you work on a torch, it's really hard to get really sharp angles and really sharp squares. It's possible, but I thought, well, maybe if I use sheet glass, I could make that really sharp angles, and it worked out really good. The problem is trying to do single pixel pieces in sheet glass is really hard because you can't cut sheet glass to the same thickness that the sheet glass is. So you have to cut it a longer width than the thickness, and then grind it down until it's a square. So every single pixel on the image, I have to grind and polish, and you grind away all of your fingernails doing it. But yeah, so the Mega Man itself, I really like. I'm really happy with this. I'm really happy with that. I wish I had a piece. I don't think I have a piece of that here, but it just looks really nice. The grind of the grind. I think it just looks. I like it. I don't think people think it's glass when they see it. I just think they think it's painted on or acrylic or something. I don't know. Rodriguez, how's it going? How are you? Thanks for stopping in. But yeah, the paperweights I really love and want to do more of those. They're a lot of fun. There's just a lot of work. It takes about a week to make a paperweight. So yeah, it's a long process. It takes a long time. So is it really worth it? It's only if you love it, because you're not going to become rich off of it unless you have the time to do it. But I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm going to get back to it. Like I said, I'm about halfway with, maybe a little past halfway with a Link. I think it's just a Link standing there with a shield and a sword. I can't remember it from Zelda. And I gotta get back to making them. I took a break because I was disappointed by how many single pixels I had to make coming up. So it's like I gotta stop for a bit. I can't grab, my fingers hurt so much. So I would like to find a better way of making those single pixels, but we'll see. And then I just took too long of a break. Story of my life. All right, cool. All right, so I need two colors to make a glass with. College World Series is starting soon. I don't even know what teams are on them. Usually I'll make a couple of glasses or something in the colors of the teams that are going to be here, because then the people come in like, oh, this is the color of my team, and then they'll sometimes buy that. So trying to think what colors to make. But they haven't announced the teams yet. I don't think they'll announce them until Monday or something. I'm not sure. I think there's some final games this weekend. Not final games, but I think there's the Big Ten is happening this weekend, I believe. Not sure. All right. Sometimes black and yellow is good. I think there's a lot. It's kind of a, what is it? Iowa colors. Black and yellow. I mean, black and red is the Husker colors, or white and red can be Husker colors too, I guess. I've had orders for both once in a while when the Husker games are coming around. But Nebraska's not in the CWS, so oh well. Sorry. I don't know if Iowa's in it. Probably not. What other colors are good? We might just do black and yellow for now, I think. I should be celebrating because we just broke 800 followers on Twitch. We have over 800 followers. All right, yellow. Thanks. It's one of those things like you don't really pay attention to, and then I think for the longest time I was stuck at one number. Holy shnikes! Makes me think of Chris Farley. Adventuring blue. Where's black? So we got the yellow. Yeah, we also have to put the rod back on the warmers because hopefully they chilled enough that all the glass broke off. I loved them. Almost Heroes, one of my favorite movies. Usually black is just sitting around somewhere. Is this it? Nope. It's Adventuring Blue. Yeah, I might have to go in the back to get some black. If you didn't see what I was blowing into before, this is the mold. This is the mold that I used. It's just a metal pipe welded to a flat metal pipe sheet, and I just blow in here to keep a shape. It chills the glass a little bit on the side, but that gives a general shape for the base. Keeps all the glasses kind of the same size. Then there's optic molds you can blow into that give shapes to the glass. So sometimes you can blow into something like this to give indents and kind of grooves to the glass if you want it. Different things like that. But I just blow into a pipe for drinking glasses. Hey Vicky, do we have any black lying around? Usually there's a bowl of any black glass. There's usually a bowl of glass black.
Yeah, there's powder, black powder.
It's black. That's fine.
All out of the garden.
Oh no! There we go. Does it start making a loud hissing noise on you? Sometimes it does that. So hopefully you can hear me now. Battery was pretty low when I started, so I didn't think it'd make it all the way through. But yeah, so we have different. I don't know where I left off, but we have different kinds of glass. Some are ground down finer, some are more big chunks or whatever. You can get large chunks too. The powder will coat more evenly, give you more of a coating of full color on your piece. The chunks will give more of a speckled look or a polka dot look on your piece. So I kind of wanted the black chunks just kind of match the black here, or the white. What color is this? Yellow, match the yellow. But since we're mixing it, swirling it, it's not a big deal. It doesn't really matter. So we'll mix these two. I'm going to take the rods out of here that we use. The glass should be cleaned off by now. The rods would have cooled. Glass should have popped off. Put this over here. Usually I kind of have a camera that points into the glory hole here so you can see the glass spinning and melting and all that stuff. But like I said, I'm kind of going through my setup here. Redoing my setup. So I'll get back to that eventually. So you won't be able to really see the swirling that I do in there, but I'm going to gather some glass, go in the color here and kind of pick up a little black, pick up a little yellow, go in there, and then melt it, and then I'll let it drip a little and then wind it back up onto the rod so it swirls together. And that just gives it a little bit of dynamic look. And the colors swirl. They don't melt too much together. They melt together, but then they're still swirling and kind of separate. Oh, let me heat this up first before I gather. Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm trying to find the perfect camera, one that withstands the heat that's in here. I really want to reach out to a company and be like, hey, you want to put your cameras to the test? Let me put them near a 2,000 degree furnace and I'll tell you if they still work. But I don't know if a company would lend me cameras for that. So like GoPros and phones, those would be great, but they overheat quickly and they don't withstand the heat very well. So I can't really put them anywhere past the Marver there. Anything past that line overheats pretty quickly. So I got to use decent cameras, something like that. I tried doing a first-person camera where I put a GoPro on my chest and tried to blow glass while wearing like a chest first-person point of view thing. And it didn't even make it through a cup. It overheated and shut off pretty quickly. I was really disappointed. I just wanted to make it through one piece, you know. I had an idea of making a gimbal on the rod too, where I put a what do you call it, bearing onto a rod with a camera on top, so I could spin the rod and the bearing would turn, but the camera would stay up and just have that point of view of the rod constantly spinning. But I never got to that either. Take a peek. All right, so a little bit of black. Dip a little line of black, then we're going to pick up the yellow. And we're going to leave a little bit of clear as well. We're going to melt this in. Then we're going to let it drip, melt together, and swirl. I started early, so it feels really late. But it's not. This is about the time I usually just get started. We got to get this nice and hot so the color melts in. It's stretchy so it can drip a little bit. And then I'm going to let it drip. Kind of swirl it one way. I'm going to heat it up again. And then let it drip and swirl it the other way. That's kind of how I mix my color here. Now I'm going to heat it up and then I'll marve it out and I'll start the bubble on it. So now I got to push it off the rod because we kind of swirled it and it swirls back on the rod a little bit. So I'm going to have to marve it and push it off the rod and make sure all the glass is off and in front so we can get all that color into my piece here. It's a little hard to see what the color is right now. So we're chilling the sides here too, pulling the heat out of the sides. So when I blow that bubble, the bubble will go up and through the middle and out the top. Kind of even it out a little bit. Instead of just blowing out the sides, we're hoping it kind of goes up into the piece a little bit. But I also have to worry about it whether or not that glass melted back into the rod. There we go. Now we got a bubble started. So sometimes when doing this method, it can be harder to get the bubble started because as you melt the glass and wind it up on itself, that glass can sometimes seep back and seep into the rod a little bit. So it kind of blocks the tip of the hole there. So then when you're trying to blow, you have to give it more pressure to get that to pop out. So we're going to let this cool. We're going to gather on top of this. So after this gather, we're going to go straight to blocking because we have no color to pick up now. Yeah, you can kind of start seeing it. It's cooling now, so you can see the black and orange and the difference. Once we gather on it, that gather will help to magnify the swirl, and then we'll shape it and kind of blow it. As we blow it out, it'll thin out, so it won't be as dark and deep. Some yellow likes to keep the color a little bit, but some colors will blow out and thin out when you blow it out. Red tends to do that a lot, where when you blow it out, usually red or brown, it'll turn brownish as you blow it, or it'll thin out and become not as intense. Yellow tends to keep that brightness it has, usually. Kind of depends. And gather a little bit. Straight over here. Start to shape it. I think for these, I tend to like to use a more rounder block than the long ones, but we'll chill the sides a little bit because the color is hotter, so it's blowing out the side more. Try and get that bubble to go down the bottom. I'll try to get up block instead. This nice and a little bit warmer. I think we'll still chill the sides a little bit. Stretch it a little bit. Trying to even out the glass because we had a lot of clear on the bottom, not very much on the side. So when we blow, we want some of that to go more out the bottom than the sides. This is one where heat control's a lot more necessary. I will heat this up. Go in the optic mold. Gotta get it nice and hot so it stretches a little bit. This one I think is going to be a little thicker on the top. Just a little bit of touch of heat there. Indent the bottom. Chill that. And now we can transfer it. Hang that up so I can get punty rod. Marver this to a point. Touch this to the bottom, hopefully it attaches and doesn't cool too quickly. Try to center it up here. Pop it off. Now we heat treat it and try to open it up. Depending on how thick it is, we can try to thin out the neck there. Or we can just open it up and be done with it. Nice and hot. We're trying to put a lot of heat into that lip, just because that's where it was coldest, that's where we broke it off. So we've got to put a lot more heat there. We don't want to let the punty get too cold, so we got to flash that once in a while. We center it, heat it up, and we'll center it again. Make sure it's not going off. Try to level this off. So I'm not sure what to call this glass. It's sort of successful, but could possibly be a failure too. So here's the glass. All the yellow looks orangish right now. Has a little bit of streaks of black in it with the yellows. The problem is, I think when I broke off the glass from the other rod, a little chip of glass fell inside the cup. And then while I'm heating it, it adhered and melted to the inside of this cup. And you can hear it. Kind of that clicking is from a small piece of glass that adhered and melted to the inside of the side. That is, it's probably fine because it probably melted enough that it's fine, but it's not really something I don't know if I would sell because I don't know how adhered that little chip is, and I don't want any little chip of glass falling off if it wasn't adhered very well. So, though this one made it, I'm probably going to mark this one as a failure. And then once it's cooled, I'll take a look at it. I might keep it for myself if I think it's going to be safe enough, or if I think it's going to be safe enough, I might give it away. But one of those, I'm unsure of it until it comes out tomorrow how it's going to be. It's probably fine, but we're going to mark this one as a failure. Fail. Let's see here. Failure. Then you ponder life's choices. Turned out okay. It looks fine, but yeah, it's just one of those things you're not sure. All right. Then we just start the next one. I'll make a couple glasses, then I might attempt to make a vase just to vary up what I make, have something a little larger to sell. I haven't made a vase in a while, so it's good practice. I have to try to make one before I get too tired. I think I'm only working off 4 hours of sleep. Melt this in. The black melts pretty quick just because it's powder. The yellow chunks take a little bit more to melt in. Okay, we got it swirled. So now we'll heat it up so we can marble it out. So recently I've been playing a lot of Planet Crafter. That's what I've been playing on stream. I've been trying to finish up that game. I'm thinking about joining a Mega Man 2 zipless speedrun tournament. But that means I'd have to learn Mega Man 2. So that's kind of what I've been doing on stream right now. Is Planet Crafter, Glassblowing on Thursdays, and thinking about Mega Man 2 as my next speedrun. Buffalo air in there. Hopefully it starts. Okay, see a bubble starting. Keep it going. There we go. I love Mega Man 2. It's one of my favorite Mega Mans. Mega Man 1 was tough, you know. I remember as a kid, like, I had a really hard time with Mega Man 1. Mega Man 2 was tough too, but it was just, I had a lot of fun with it. Okay, we want to use a rounder block, so we're going to look for that. Yeah, those are my favorite too, like 1, 2, and 3. I don't think I played 3 as much though. I played it, but I didn't play it that much. 2 I played a lot. I think I rented that from Blockbuster a bunch. Until you're like, I just need to buy this game because I rented it enough, I could have bought it already. You know, because you rent it and you forget to give it back because you live 30 minutes away and you can't get to Green Bay. So you're like, I gotta pay these late fees now. I hated Best Buy's, or not Best Buy's, like Blockbuster's late fees. They were always more than just renting it again. You know? Heat this up. We'll let it stretch a little bit. We'll kind of blow it, got to thin up the bottom a little bit. Off the wall video. Eventually we had a video store that opened up where I live called Van Landen Video. It was good. They had games there and stuff, so it was a long bike ride, but we could technically bike ride to town and go rent a game or something. So that was great. But other than that, if we wanted a specific game, because sometimes they didn't have a lot of games, they had like one of each. So if you wanted to find one, you'd have to go all the way to Green Bay. But most of the time, the good ones are rented out. All right, so got this heated. We're going to go to the optical mold. Get it nice and hot. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. you'd beat it in the weekend and be like, well, now we don't need to buy it. I beat it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I thought I heard something. Yeah. Sorry. One of the other glass blowers got locked out. So I had to open the door. All right, I'm gonna put my jacks. I gotta try to flatten this now. It's gonna be a little harder to flatten because it's best to flatten it when you go out of the mold there, but try to get it hot enough and reflatten this now. Indents. All right, we're good. We'll heat this up. We'll transfer it now. Sorry, I missed what you said there, but check in a second. Make the punty. Just to the bottom. Try to center it. A little water, we want to break it off. Tap it off there. We'll heat this up. Get the lip here nice and warm. We'll be able to open it up. Keep that punty warm. We don't want it to go too crazy on it. Thin the sides out, or straighten the sides out, I should say. We'll heat it up, we'll open it up the rest of the way. Okay. Heat treat it, and that should be good to go. All right, so here's this glass. Swirl's a little different in this one. We'll see how it turns out when it cools down. All right, chill it with the spoon here. Grab it with the grabbers. Tap it off. Hit it with the torch. And put it away. All right, so that one's successful. We need some more water. I might actually make a vase next. Five. Got five. All right, water. I think we're still going to use the yellow and black. We just gotta make sure we gather a little bit more. So we might do two gathers off the top, and then put the color on, and then gather on that again. So we just get a little bit more glass. It's not gonna be a huge vase, but it's maybe a large, medium vase. I'm trying to be productive. My goal was originally in the start of the year to try making a lot of glasses through the month and have a goal per month. It was a pretty high goal of like 100 glasses in January every month or something like that. Which trying to space 25 glasses a week, and to be able to do that, if I'm only streaming or blowing glass 2 hours every week, that's only about 4 or 5 glasses. So that means it's like I would try to get in on the weekend to also be productive and get enough glass made. One, to maybe help the stream and get more cameras and stuff to help the stream a little bit, but just to pay off some debt, things like that, get ourselves back on track and all that stuff. But lost track of time, as one does with family. So we'll get back to it. But I didn't want to be overly productive as compared to being creative in a way, or doing the stuff I want to do. So if I want to make the paperweights or the 8-bit Marinis, if I'm trying to just be productive in glasses, that kind of takes away the time from doing the stuff I want to do. So it's give and take. Got to pick and choose. So I need some larger rods up there. Okay, I see one up there that I need. That's good. Okay, I think all the rods that I need are up there, so that I don't need to go find anything. I do need snippers. I'll put some snippers up here. Which ones are the good ones? Hopefully I don't need them. Ugh. I was half tempted to also bring a controller here, and in between when I'm taking a break, just play on an emulator or a retro game. Be like, all right, Blue Glass for an hour. It's time for a couple retro, some Contra speed runs. Let's do it. It'd be so weird to do it because I'm not used to playing on the emulator. I got the layouts for them. I think it would have to be a reward, you know? Complete 4 glasses without breaking one, and then I get to do some speed runs. I don't know, something like that. Or it's like a redemption, too, as well. Someone could redeem a speed run. All right, your one gather. We'll let it cool a little bit. And then we'll do another gather. So we're going to do what they call air marvering. We'll just keep let this cool. Missed it. The glass is X4 times 4, yeah. All right, one more gather on this. Hopefully keep most of this glass that's on there. Put some black on it. Yellow. A little more black, I think. I think on the other ones I didn't really have very dark black on it, so we're gonna, and since it's powdered, we're gonna use more of it. Try to melt this in. We don't really want to trap bubbles too when we're swirling it. I think I'm going to marver it, just kind of shape it out again, and then we'll start the twisting. Yep, 5 victories. We'll see if this one makes it. This one's kind of a bigger deal.
Others, you turn up the beat. No matter what kind of day you're having, unwind with Twizzlers. The perfect level of sweet. Twizzlers candy comes in a chewy twist that's more than a treat. It's a reminder to have fun. Sit back and relax with
Push
Twizzlers.
this out. Kind of have a lot of black over on the one side, but then I want to make sure I melt this in to melt in any of those grooves. Twizzlers are the best. I love Twizzlers more than I like red licorice. I've never really kept count. I never really kept count of my successes. Before I had a job and I was just helping out here, I did have an order for about 200 glasses. And I think the most I made in a day was like 20 or 30. I was so exhausted. I used to work at Sam's Club, and when you go to Sam's Club, you can buy like a 5-pound box of Twizzlers. And I would always just buy that after I was done with work and take it home, you know, and play Dragon Warrior 3 and eat from a 5-pound box of Twizzlers. Yeah, it's a Walmart, but Costco-like thing, but owned by Walmart. Yeah, big warehouse store. You can buy in bulk stuff. Usually gave you better deals, but you needed a membership. When I first worked there, I worked there over the summer, and you get a free membership when you work there, obviously. But I went back to school, and they never canceled my membership, so I had a whole membership for a year for free. And then I went back to work there for the next summer, and then when I left to go back to school, they canceled my membership. It's like, I should never have gone back to work there. I would have had a free membership for life. What did I do? Should have went and worked somewhere else. Hard to gather. The glass is kind of low. So I start making the jack line here. I have to heat it up to lose control of it maybe. I need this to be wet. I want to make the jack line now so it's easier to break off later. I don't know if I can get the neck hot enough to neck it down here. Okay. Try to even out the sides a little bit. That kind of went wonky. Okay. I think we want to put a foot on it now. Try to put a foot on it. Get it nice and hot. So we can hang it up here. Try to touch the center of the bottom on this. It's hard to see. Try to center it. Now we need to use that wet newspaper that I left in the water. It's too wet now. We'll use this to shape the foot. So newspaper is as close as I can get to touching the glass. So you cover your hand with several sheets of wet newspaper basically. And the burnt newspaper in the water, it all rides on the steam, protects your hand. Some of the steam, you gotta be careful with the steam because it could leak out and burn you, but as long as the paper is made correctly, you're safe. Okay. Try to flatten it. heat treat it here. Try to keep everything hot. Check the foot one more time, just try to make sure it's flat. Just to kind of get more heat in the piece before you hang it up. I gotta make sure I don't get it too hot, that when I hang it up, it angles itself and gets lopsided. Sure that center's indented a little. Now we're going to heat it and hang it up. Hopefully, as I transfer it, it'll get a little bit lighter. Because right now I got a lot of weight on the outside of the pipe on the far side. So when I attach to it, most of that weight will be closer to the punty or to the rod. So then it'll get a little bit easier to hold, a little bit easier to work with. So grab a thicker punty, a little bit more glass.
Shopify.com/Spotify. Go to shopify.com/Spotify.
Bloop. Make what we call a ring punty. Attach this to the bottom. Gotta be careful. It's a lot of weight here. Try to keep this centered as much as possible. Put a lot of water around here to chill that. Keep that centered. Okay, now we heat through the top. Try to open that up. I really want to get a lot of heat just on the top of it. I put a lot of heat into it so I can open it up. We're probably going to try to spin it open a little bit. We'll see if it works. It depends on how wide it opens, things like that. I really want to get a lot of heat in that top. So we could stop here. I probably should stop here. I don't know, but I'm going to spin it open. Why not? So nice and hot. And there we have a base. So spinning it, holding it down, flares out the lip a little bit. Colors are swirled, has some clear in it. Now we just need to put it away. It's gonna be hard to hold here. Let's see if I can get a hold of it. I don't know if I can torch this or not. Ah! So heavy. Gotta pinch it and squeeze it. Try to really heat it. I don't want to hold it down like that because it's going to slip out. Ow! Oh, this grabber's isn't made for that big a piece. There we go. But I made it. So, one more piece. That's a success. Yeah, that's what she said. How's it going? How's it going, Zarek? Oh, man. That's a lot harder of a piece to make. But, turned out okay, I think. It is hard work. Hot work. Hot stuff. Huh. Let's see here. Oh. So we got 6 that made it, 1 that failed. Like right now is a good time to relax and do a contra run if I had a controller here, or something else, I guess. I got to work on not wearing myself down as much, conserving energy, as they say. Let's see. Trying to see what my wife is doing. She's got the kids and
At Enterprise,
doing stuff,
you're
but
constantly
they might not stop by today.
getting this. Thanks, Mom.
Um,
Fixing that. You reach a destination, and then it's on to the next. And
see.
when life is moving at the speed of, well, life, Enterprise is right there with you, around the corner and around the globe. We'll keep you moving forward. Enterprise, for lives in drive.
I might end up calling it a night here just because I'm wearing down. Thumb Bros is doing Contra though. I might give him a raid. So I think let's give Thumb Bros a raid. I am going to relax and turn things off. See if this works. Did a raid get started? Can't see it. Yeah, okay, there it is. See you, thanks for hanging out, everyone. Oh yeah, it's ready. Cool. So, depending how I feel tonight, I might play some retro games or play Planet Crafter tonight. We'll see. Otherwise, yeah, I'll be doing some Planet Crafter, try to finish that game up. Probably Mega Man 2 practice and learning coming up very soon, and then multiplayer Wednesday on Wednesdays, where we play random game multiplayer games on Wednesdays. So thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the raids, everyone, and the follows, all that stuff. Had a lot of fun, but that last piece wore me out. So I'm going to take off. Let's say hi to Thumb Bros with Contra, and we'll see you next time.